Well, making the last video about my experience with the University of Chicago Booth MBA, I briefly touched up on a topic of HR. So I had a very unique experience in the 2 years of taking my MBA with HR. So I want to make a video about that. And this video is somewhat of a put down for HR. I'm sorry to say this. So if you work in HR, please accept this as a constructive criticism. And I know that as individuals, no one has a lot to do. You may or may not agree with the system on how things run, but that's just the way it is. And if you want to make a living, you have to follow the system, whether you agree with it or not. But here's my experience with HR. Um, when I started my MBA, I did something quite risky that most people probably wouldn't do. Is I quit my job, despite the fact that I was doing executive MBA, and I could have a job while completing the study. The reason why I did that is because I've been living and working in China for the last 7 years, and I was a bit emotionally, physically, mentally, everything fatigued. You have called Chinese fatigue, because China is just a beast. It's absolutely a beast of a country. The competition, the level of intensity, is maybe the only country that probably could come to the same level as India. So, because I didn't grow up in China, I grew up in the U.S. I I I don't think are built for that kind of intensity. To be honest with you, so I was tired, and then I thought, and my parents at this age was getting older. They asked me, hey, maybe it's time to consider coming back and reestablish a career in the U.S. And it made a lot of sense. It made a lot of sense for me. So MBA, I quit my job in Shanghai. I moved back to Chicago initially, and my thought was this: I thought that okay, there was I worked in China. I know getting reintegrated into the U.S. Work system might not be that simple because I have had a different experience. However, I vastly underestimated the difficulty I would have. And during the 2 years, I interviewed with 12 companies altogether, 12 companies. Some of it in Chicago, and some of it at a point which I moved to San Francisco because I thought that there would be more opportunity in San Francisco for me. And what I find was that whether in Chicago, whether in San Francisco, the situation was the same, in the sense that despite what I initially thought and what I was taught to believe, U.S. has a very closed system. U.S. has a very closed system. It's nothing like China's system. China does 40 to 60% of their business with the world. I read one study that says over 40% of GDP is related to just simply trading with the world. Some say as high as 60, based on secondary, tertiary effects. But with the U.S., actually, it's a very closed system. So if you have a very international experience, it's not that valuable as I initially thought it was. The second thing is that, and this is more related to HR, is that despite the the soundbite, companies don't want to really hire different people. Company will say we want innovative, we want independent thinkers, we want people who can think outside box, challenge mode. Actually, no, they do not. They do not want that. Management don't. HR certainly don't. They want people who can tick boxes. Do you have this industry experience? Yes. How many years? Okay. Are you coming from a competitor? Even better. Especially competitors they love to emulate or they love to catch up to. They'll pay you extra for that. But if you're actually coming from a different place, a different country, a different industry experience, a different industry, for them it's a huge risky hire. And the HR definitely, even if a manager interests you, HR will axe it because it won't fit into HR's KPI. So how does the company innovate? When I say this, like Why do I talk about this? I'm not talking about this to gripe about not getting the job I wanted in 2 years I was in Chicago. That's fine. There are other ways to make money. Why I talk about this because companies constantly talk about innovation. People believe that, oh, I want to be with an innovative company. I want to be with a company who think differently and who act differently, who will go places. But the reality of it is, if you're going to a medium to a large size company, and if you're going to today to go into a startup company, there's not a lot of innovation. There's not a lot of that. The reason for that is because margins are thin, the competition is stiff, and very few companies can afford to take chances anymore. How do you take chances? You take chances when the cost of taking a chance is low. When the cost of taking chances is very high, people don't take chances. Hence, and this doesn't apply to just companies, this applies to individuals. If you live in the city of San Francisco, New York, it's very difficult to be an entrepreneur unless you have funding, because you have rent that's costing you $2,000 to $3,000. You have living expenses that cost you even more. You can be very innovative in places where cost of living is very low, such as Indonesia, China, Malaysia. Why? Because you don't have a bill over your head every month that you had to pay for to sustain yourself. So if you truly want innovation, you truly want this, don't go to big cities. Look for that. There are a lot of people who think very creatively, who are very brilliant, but very few people will act on it simply because the cost of taking a risk, doing something different, is too high. And this is the reason why, even in Silicon Valley, when they talk about innovation, I don't really see a lot of innovation. What I see is rehashing of a system. They found a system that works. If they found a system who bringing young people with good ideas, fund them, they had built a whole financial system, raising money, fund them, and then scale it. Even the scaling of it is a systematized. It's not innovative. It's just rehashing it. So if you truly want some innovation, go to a place where there's low cost. And America is not that place. In America, the cost is very high now. I choose Malaysia, but you can choose a lot of other countries where the cost of living is so low that you can truly explore things. You can truly explore a lot of ideas you have. And the failure of those is very low. What do you have to lose? A few $1,000, $10,000, $20,000 max, that's it. And cost of living, a few $100s. You can try so many different things. So it's ironic that HR and countries spit out this propaganda of being innovative. We want to hire innovative, we want to think differently. The reality is, if you're truly different, they're not going to hire you. You truly represent an opportunity of something new, you're not going to get hired, because while you represent opportunity, you also represent risk to them. So what do you need to have a good, quick, successful hire? Here's my proposal for you. One is that you work in the industry, you have industry experience. So don't jump industry is what I'm saying. Two is that you control something with the industry. You control customer resources. You control customer resources. That's key number one. And every company wants people who can help them bring more money in. Two is that you control a key piece of information, technology, patent. If you have demonstrated that you have brain power. And the last but not least is that apply to companies roughly the same size, prestige structure, or go down. It's hard to go up, but it's easy to go down. If you work for Goldman Sachs, you can get hired much easier at a lower level investment bank. But if you're looking at working at a regional bank, it's much harder to get hired in New York for Goldman Sachs. Same thing with venture capital. Same thing with every industry. So those three things. Get those three things if you want to be in demand, so to speak, and be in the controlling seat when it comes to salary negotiation. Otherwise, you're begging. You're begging for a job. I was, and I didn't realize at the time I was begging, but that's essentially the negotiating power position I was in at that point. So, yeah, that's as simple. I wish I could make it more complex, but that's about as simple as it gets. If you really hate your industry, want to do something new, start at the bottom. Don't aim for some prestigious company in that new industry. Yeah, people get it there, but there's other reasons. They might know someone, they might have it in with somebody, someone might owe some favor, blah, blah, blah. It's not straight HR hire. Start at the bottom, start with a startup, start with someone who will hire you because they're desperate. And if you truly want it, you truly want to change it, you will put in the time and effort to make yourself successful. When you make yourself successful, other better companies will hire you and will pay you because you have results, and it will show. If you come in cold into in the industry, a new sector, and you want to shoot for the stars, good luck, man. You're spinning your wheels. All right, bye-bye.